Welcome to the Momentum Lifestyle Project podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Ruse, and here at Momentum, we aim to challenge and champion committed men who are ready to take charge of their lives by mastering their mind, optimizing physical potential, and unlocking their power to find their mission. Whilst our work is predominantly with men, we hope that this podcast will provide value to all who choose to listen. So without further ado, let's jump in.
And a huge shout out to our first sponsor here, Be Spunky, the Australian men's health brand designed to support you to be the best you can be. Now, Blake Genoa and myself have been using this for quite some time now and absolutely love it. This product is something that we take every single day and drastically improves our training. But the one thing that I've noticed is my recovery time and the way that I feel the next day after training is so much better when I'm taking Be Spunky than when I'm not. And it is scientifically formulated to support optimum male hormone levels vital for strength, drive, and overall well-being. So big thanks to Be Spunky. You can find the link in the description below.
This week, I sat down with Sam Wood. He's one of Australia's top health and fitness experts and the man behind the hugely successful online training, nutrition, and mindfulness platform 28 by Sam Wood. We spoke about balancing life with kids, training, and business.
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Nice to see your face.
You too. It's been a while since my days working in Brighton as your local barista, mate. You still getting the strong piccolo? Is that still the coffee order?
Oh, what a good barista! Never forgets, mate. I'm just in my car. Have just pulled over. I've just got my little strong piccolo.
There you go.
It's 6:30 in the morning here. I've got my dog next to me, and we've got a little road trip on this morning. So it's we're going to go for a big bush run this morning, and I've got a few things to do down in Mount Martha.
Oh, nice, mate. Nice. It's definitely something that I noticed as your barista was you have a very consistent, strong morning routine. Every morning you were up walking the dog, you'd grab your strong piccolo, as I said, and then you'd be off on your day, I'm pretty sure, to the gym that you run or back home to the family. How did you build out, I guess, the discipline? You know, we hear so much about how do you get the motivation to do this and that, and I think motivation is really overrated. And when I look at you, it's more just a discipline, because there'd be days you wake up and you're probably exhausted. The kids are jumping on you and you're like, you know, fuck this, I'm going back to bed, or I'm staying in with the kids or something. How did you build that out? Did it take you a while? Was it something that just has been ingrained in you for so long now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I started walking my dog for his benefit, and he's nearly 10, so that's I got him when I was 30 as a puppy, and I couldn't believe, I've always been an early morning person as a personal trainer, and I think I kind of liked getting up early from a productivity perspective, but then when I would still be able to get up early and not have to necessarily train clients, but I could kind of walk Hendrix, get my thoughts in order. I'm not very good at meditating. It's something I'm really working on for myself. But for me, that walk with Hendrix for sort of 60 minutes is a sort of unique form of meditation for me, where fresh air, clear my thoughts, understand what my day looks like, listen to a podcast, listen to some music, sometimes nothing. I love being near the water. I think, if I can include walking by the water in that morning routine, it kind of probably brings it up a level of sort of 20-30% from an enjoyment perspective and sort of a calming perspective. And so for me, once it felt that good, it actually became something, not that I felt I was having to do, but I wanted to do, So, early on, it was probably a matter of discipline and routine and habit building. And within a few months, if I wasn't doing it, it felt like something was missing.
Yeah.
And so I just did it. And then it really, I mean, much to my wife's amazement, I am a creature of habit, and she's not as much. She she can tell when I haven't been for my morning walk and had my morning coffee.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit uneasy, a little bit cranky.
Yeah.
So I have to also give her an enormous amount of credit that, with 3 kids and a pretty crazy life, she's very good at kind of letting me get out and get that sort of done. I mean, even if I do that and then I come back to the craziness and I'll walk my little 3-year-old to kinder and make school lunches and all of that kind of stuff, the fact that I've had that moment of calm and that moment of clarity first, I find really helps me have a good day and be in a really good mood.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's like any good habit, you're more noticed when you don't have it than the actual like benefit of doing it day in, day out. And I notice the same thing with me when I miss a workout, or when I don't do my morning meditation. That's really become a strong habit for me in the last 7 months. If I miss it, it's not necessarily that I feel amazing when I'm doing it. It's I feel so off when I don't do it. It's like, oh, that's why I keep doing that, and that's why it's so ingrained into my day-to-day life. And I think it's probably the hardest thing for people. And you worked in the health and wellness space for 20 odd years. Is that about right? Yeah. So
yeah, 20
you'd be able
20 21.
21 years. Yeah. So I mean, is that the hardest thing with getting when you work with clients, or back in the day, or even at your gym now? Is that the hardest thing that you notice, is that because the benefits aren't immediate and we live in such a like immediate gratification world, that's probably what stops people from continuing on in the good habits? Or what do you see the barriers to that being?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Something that I used to pride myself on as a trainer, I'd be doing 70 or 80 appointments a week. I was doing that for 16 or 17 years as a trainer. And, something I thought was really interesting was I worked in a studio with 25 trainers. So you had a really good reference point, I guess, to what you were doing comparatively to the other trainers in the studio. And I was always kind of curious to what was happening at other studios and other gyms. And I think a lot of trainers do this, make this mistake, and that is the time that they spend with their clients is often outstanding, but they probably spend 2 or 3 out of 168 hours in a week with their client, and they're not very good at having a care factor or helping their clients with those other 165, 166 hours. And so I would be pretty rigorous in setting my clients' homework, getting them to send me, in the early days before, phones were that flash, just text messages to kind of affirm that they'd done what they were meant to do. And almost give me feedback, not just on how that they'd done it, but how it made them feel. And then in later times, videos to them and back to me, videos from them proving that they'd done what they were meant to do. And also just keeping very basic diaries. I'd go, this is old school. I'd go down to the news agency and buy 132-page little exercise books, and I'd give them to my clients, and I'd just get them to write down their exercise, their sleep, and their food, anything that they consumed, food or beverage, because I also think we have a bit of a selective memory with that kind of thing. When they would come in and I'd ask them to recall, what exercise have you done this week and how's your food been? They'd tell me how wonderful it was. They forgot that they went out for drinks on Wednesday night after work. They forgot that they ate those desserts. They forgot that they missed those. I'd say There's a stat that says we overestimate how much exercise we do by 20% when we're asked to recall it, and we underestimate our calorie intake by 20% when we're asked to recall it. It's just this kind of natural defense mechanism, I think, that we have, because we like to tell ourselves we're perhaps doing a better job than we are. And 20% doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's 20% each way and it's every day and every week, that's a 40% discrepancy that we're probably living with our head in the clouds. And I think that can add up, mate, to be a big difference. And then, then we're flabbergasted when we've gained 5 kilos over winter, or, or I'd weigh my clients every 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and Sam, I just don't understand. I've been so perfect, and I'm like, I'm not so sure about that. So, once you've got a really strong, open and honest relationship with your clients, and you can have those conversations with complete transparency, and you're not offending them. It's a really powerful place, because you're talking to them really openly, really honestly, sometimes in a blunt manner, but it's for their own benefit, and that's when you get the best breakthroughs.
And so, is that ignorance? Is it laziness? Is it like what is that?
Sometimes it's a lack of education, but you're trying to educate your clients. I think, and I worked in an area that was a pretty affluent area of Melbourne, as you know. Most people were relatively educated. I think it's just a lot of bad habits that are hard to break. Like sometimes it's not just about, forming a good new habit. It's about breaking a really bad one that they've had for 25 years. The biscuit tin at work, the diet soft drink, the 6 coffees a day. I used to work with some incredibly intelligent, successful people. That millions of dollars and huge success and wonderful family lives, and they were very successful in every other facet of their life, but they just really struggled to get on top of their health. So sometimes applying the things that had made them successful in business to their fitness, and really getting them to schedule things out, and accountability and plans and all of that kind of stuff, because that was the kind of world that worked for them and they understood. And 9 times out of 10 you get there eventually. You've just got to try different things. You've got to understand that not everyone is wired the same way you are wired. Fitness is my life, so if I can't get my butt out of bed and get my workout in, that's a concern. But I'm not necessarily going to be as intrinsically motivated as the next person. And and it really is something that a lot of people struggle with, particularly if they've let themselves go and they've got a lot of work to do. If you've got 20, 30, 40 kilos to do, it's really overwhelming. It's really, like, it's so hard. The mountain feels so high. I don't even know if I believe that I can do it. So I was really big on breaking the big goal down into little goals. My 28 program is all about working in 28-day blocks, because it's great to have a long-term goal, a New Year's resolution or whatever it is. But if it's too far away, it's highly unlikely you're going to be able to stay focused, stay motivated. Most people sort of lose their way and become disheartened at some stage. So if you can go, right, it's the 1st of April, by the end of April, I'm just going to lose 4 kilos. And then you do that, it reinforces all of these new habits, all of these new healthy behaviors. And all of a sudden you've done that 2 or 3 months in a row. You put a 12 kilo dent in a 60 kilo or a 50 kilo goal, and all of a sudden feels so much more achievable, and the mountain feels a lot smaller.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see so much like overcomplication online, and especially in the last 10 years, probably the rise of vegetarian, then it was the rise of vegan, then keto, and then all this information. And you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's like, you and I breathe wellness. So like our jobs mean that we have to be up to date with what's going on and educate. And, so it's easy for us to, look at other people and go, why aren't you healthy? Like, you've got one body, you've got one mind, look after yourself. but that's our job, or that's the industry we've chosen to work in. And when you put yourself in the shoes of the everyday man or woman, it must be just so overwhelming for people. And it is what I love about your program, the 28-day program that I've seen you post, or I've seen a lot of, and as well as what I like about the man shake. I'm not sure if you've seen that either, but just these simple principles. The man shake is like lose the beer gut without losing the beers. Supplement one meal every day with a shake. It's just simple stuff that the everyday person can follow by, just like your program being 28 days. Okay, you got a 60 kilo goal maybe in 3 years time. Let's go. Yeah, 4 kilos in a month or something, And I see the breakdown, and you look at the psychology behind it all. When you break down goals into smaller achievable things, like you said, if I've got a goal to lose 15 kilos and I lose 6, I feel like a failure. If I've got a goal to lose 3 kilos and I lose 3 kilos, I feel amazing. And it's because it's like I set the goal and I've gone out to achieve it. Why do you think, from the everyday, and you have a really interesting perspective on this, I guess, being having worked in the wellness industry for so long and now transitioning, as you said, you've worked in the wealthier areas. What is it a lack of intrinsic value placed on health and wellness? Is it a lack of, is it what you kind of mentioned before, where it's actually just so overwhelming that it's like, let's just go back to my bad habits that I know, which is to eat shitty food and to smoke and drink and hope that way? Like, what is it about the corporate man or woman that the average corporate man or woman is not very healthy? They lived highly stressful lives. And for you and I, we go, well, the way we deal with stress is to work out, to eat healthy, drink lots of water, right? That's, or meditate or go for your walks. What is it about the corporate lifestyle that is seemingly so detrimental to the average person?
So it's really interesting, because if you'd asked me this when I was 25, or even 30, to be honest, I was far less sympathetic to that person. And I was wrong. I didn't have as much life experience. I mean, you say that we deal with those things in that way. We try to, or I try to. I mean, I can only speak for myself. You're younger than me, mate. You probably deal with it better. In the last 5 years, I've had months, or, a couple of months in a row where I have been in not terribly good shape, struggled to maintain these healthy habits. And as much as I haven't really enjoyed it, and I've kind of woken up one day and gone, oh, geez, what's going on? It's been really powerful for me, because I have a much better empathy now for not just corporate, but anyone that's kind of at that life stage and busier. I think, when you have kids, when you have a busy, stressful job, when you have both, if you're a mum with, so much going on and barely a minute to yourself in a week, let alone on a daily basis, it's bloody hard. So I think the first thing is, we don't sit here in our ivory towers and say, I'm this and you're that, because it's not easy. It's pretty easy when you're a personal trainer and you're 22 and you're spending 11 hours a day in a gym. If you can't get a bloody workout, you should have a good hard look at yourself. But, and you got no worries in the world. But then life happens, mate. And, you get a bit older, you get a bit more tired, your metabolism slows down, you don't get away with eating what you used to perhaps get away with. And it doesn't take much before you get a big slap in the face from life and a bit of a wake-up call. So I think the first thing is to understand it's not that easy, and the challenges that people face from a time, stress, lack of resource, whatever it might be, perspective, are real, which is why my whole philosophy is don't try and do too much. Like a little workout or just moving your body in some day, most days, or every day if you can, is a massive tip. You don't have to be perfect with your food. like the man shake thing, have a beer and still keep, is great, because that's what it should be. If you, what I've found almost some people are quite good if they go, if they're quite strict at the beginning, because it allows them to be strong early on, and these bad habits don't kind of find a way of creeping their way back into early before you build up some momentum or some resilience. But beyond that, I'm all about progress, not perfection. If you are depriving yourself of everything you enjoy, a glass of wine, a piece of chocolate, socializing and having a few beers with your mates, whatever it is, you're not going to stick to that. It's going to be miserable. It's going to be unenjoyable, and life's too short to, I've got a six pack and I'm so sad, and like, who cares? Who wants a six pack and to be unhappy? It's not to say you want to be a risk of a stroke or a heart attack and 50 kilos overweight and happy either. There needs to be a balance. You need to take care of yourself. But when you can instill in people that you're much better off being an 8 out of 10 with your food and an 8 out of 10 with your exercise, there's no short-term fix, and forget these bullshit diets, this light bulb moment happens with your clients where they're like, yep, I lost the 7 kilos that I wanted to lose, and now I've kept it off, and I absolutely don't feel like I'm on a workout or diet regime at all. This is just how I live.
And it becomes more
some days I
lifestyle.
run, some days I do yoga, some days I do some strength training, some days I kick the footy or go for a bokra with my kids. I try and get my 6, 7, 8, if I can, hours of sleep. I try and drink my 2 or 3 liters of water every day. And I just eat real food, no crazy diets, no counting calories, no, I've just got good structure, good discipline. I don't eat all the takeaway processed crap, or if we do, it's really occasional. And I can't believe how good I feel, and how, the most important thing, how sustainable it feels. The best thing I can hear as a trainer is, Sam, I actually feel like I can live like this forever. Once people get to that point, they're not thinking about it. It's all autonomous. You're not waking up each day and going, okay, good habit 1 is this, good habit 2. Even that's exhausting. Like measuring every calorie and cup, and that's exhausting. It needs to become this healthy, intuitive, sustainable way of living, and that takes time. And the biggest challenge people face is they're continually starting over because they're not strong enough for long enough. It's this roller coaster where they're great for 2 weeks or 4 weeks, or it's like giving up smoking. This time I lasted 3 months, and this time I lasted 4 months, and then the wheels fell off, and a year later I'm back to square one. If you can be strong enough for long enough and get to that point where it does become autonomous, you never look back. And that's the panacea that, people should be striving for.
So if there's one thing you could snap your fingers and get rid of within the health and fitness industry, what would that be? Whether it was an idea or something that's floating around that you've seen for a while, what would be that one thing that it just needs to shift within the wellness industry?
I think the biggest problem is this sort of idea of perfectionism and just comparison. There's a lot of things. People weigh themselves too often. People are too fixated on counting calories. People are, everyone's looking for the magic bullet. A quick fix solution that doesn't exist. But I think where things are really, we live in this Instagram world and this comparison world, and we're all different. I think if once you forget trying to look like the cover of a magazine and you focus on being the best version of yourself, and you find the right level of health and happiness balance,
Yeah.
That's what, and it's not sexy and it doesn't sell. That's the heart. No one wants to be told that you might not have a six pack, but you'll be really healthy and you'll still look pretty good, and you'll be happy. Like, it's happy such a underrated selling point, because it's such a different thing to every person, I think. But it's
when you're happy, you don't buy frivolously, right? You don't buy the next challenge, the next protein powder, the next amino acid, the next fat loss thing. When you're happy, you're content with what's going on and you stick to what you know.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing. It's just about getting back to the basics. There's never been more books, more programs, more magic pills, and all this other bullshit, and we've never been fatter. So like, if all of that stuff really worked, we wouldn't have a 50% of overweight or obesity rate. So it's a marketer's dream out there. You just got to, from a comparison six-pack perspective to a product perspective, you've just got to ignore the noise and get back to the fundamentals. And that's been the case 21 years ago when I started in this industry, and it'll be the case in 21 more years. Nothing's ever gonna change that.
Yeah, and I see that there's so many different ways I want to take what you've just said, but I guess I'll go with what you just said at the end around the marketer's dream. You've really managed to, from an outsider's point of view, operate within an industry that doesn't have a lot of integrity, but you've been able to operate with a lot of integrity. Again, from an outsider's point of view, that's what I get from your brand, which is you're obviously a good-looking rooster, your wife's very good-looking, but you guys have managed to your marketing is not about the six packs. It's not about the biceps and the this and that. It's very much like a family driven, family operated, family owned business that's like, hey guys, let's get fit and healthy together as a community. I know obviously through our conversations, you've built a really strong community within 28. How has been, I guess, staying within integrity for you? How have you found the challenges associated with that? Has there been times where you've left money on the table because brand deals or magazine deals or something like that just hasn't aligned with you? And then also, has it been a strength of yours where like you actually just stand out because you're so, you're hitting the points that people want, which is actually, I just want to be fit and healthy. I don't actually want the six. I do look up to Sam and Snez, and that's what I want. I want a happy, fit, healthy family.
It's an interesting challenge because there's no point having a business if it doesn't make money, because then you can't do what you're so passionate about. So you need to get people on board your program. So our community and our word of mouth is, second to none, the most powerful, most important part of the program for that, because if people come on board, thinking, yep, I'm going to give this a try for 28 days. And the thing that we're most proud of is the average 28er stays for well over a year. So, most of these programs are 4, 6, 8 weeks, and then, they have a really high churn rate, and they're kind of that's all it was designed to do. We want people to sort of stay on the program, use it for their structure, use it as their plan, develop these habits until they feel that they can go away and perhaps do it all by themselves. Or if they want to, we've had some members who have been members since day one, over 5 years now. So it's, that's something that we really sort of pride ourselves on. We every now and then, to answer your question, we've had a myriad of, 5-figure offers thrown at us to promote products that we would have been selling out. Would have been a very easy way to make a couple of $100,000, and it would have completely been against everything that we'd always said to our 28ers. So it's the quickest, easiest no that you ever say. Like, we're in this for the long haul. It's not about making a few bucks now. It's about having a brilliant, sustainable business that can hopefully help millions of people over the journey. And that's what it's all about. So it's I mean, they're pretty easy decisions. Sometimes much to the bemusement of the company that's approaching you with what they think is a can't say no offer,
An
but
irresistible offer.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to do it. I think if you go for the quick win, or you don't stick to your values because there's a dollar sign attached to it, then you don't have very strong values. So
Yeah.
they're non-negotiable. We make sure that we stick to them categorically. And you spoke about Snej and I, mate, like every now and then I'm sure our egos kick in a little bit and we get a bit carried away like everybody else. I'm happy to sort of put my hand up and say, we're definitely not perfect, but the thing that we pride ourselves on is keeping it real. Like if we don't do a workout or we've got a hangover, we tell our 28ers. We don't sort of live one life over here and another life over there. We even call the 28 community the 28 family. I sign off on all my comms to them with my daily videos. Love Sam. Like it's not this community where they're there and I'm there. Like they know everything about my kids. They know about my dog. They know where I live. And I like that. We keep it real, and I think that's the most important thing. I think if you're living this life that isn't facing the same challenges that they're facing, and you're not keeping things raw and keeping things real, eventually your members are smart. They're going to see through that, and it's going to bite you in the bum. So we sort of pride ourselves on keeping it real, having a laugh, and building real relationships and real friendships with our members, which was very easy when we had a couple of hundred members, but when you got tens of thousands of members all over the world, the only way that you can do that is by not wavering from what's got you to where you've gotten to, but also the community, where we can't necessarily touch everybody, our other 28ers can. So, we've got this incredible Facebook community with 60,000 members that, a new member comes in, they get their arms, they're wrapped around them with other members just like them. Oh, Sally, I remember when it was day one for me. Don't be overwhelmed. Here's a few little tips that might help you. They're sharing recipes, they're sharing workout ideas. They're saying, does anyone else live on the Gold Coast? Let's catch up for a walk or a bike ride. It's this beautiful community that sort of organically supports each other. And it's the thing that I'm most proud of, bar none, from the whole program, that's for sure.
Yeah, the community aspect and being able to help build something long lasting is quite important to you, and why you decided to go down this route in business, or has it organically come about as just a part of the process and you've just been like, wow, this is actually an amazing byproduct of what we've been able to create?
Do you mean the community deal?
Yeah, the community aspect.
Look, it actually was completely organic, and I think that's why it's so special.
Yeah,
because I think if you try and fabricate a community, it won't actually work. Like it needs to come from your people. And that starts and finishes with me and Snej and our other trainers and our nutrition team and our support crew. But like that has to be, you can't tell people how to treat other people. It was kind of from day one, this is the kind of safe, supportive place that I wanted to be, and we were very strict on that. Like if any kind of negativity or people with self-interest, sort of like trying to promote other businesses or anything like that, sort of snuck into it, because social media can be your best friend or your worst enemy, and most people have had both positive and negative experiences from a social media platform. So they sort of come in with their eyes wide open and almost wondering if it is as good as people say it is.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we facilitate it really stringently. We monitor it really closely. And we're in it every single day. You know, we don't just leave, you know, it's not just, okay, you're here now. We've been on this journey for 5 years. You know, I'm as active in that community on day, whatever we are, 2000, as I was on day one. And I think that's really important.
How have you maintained the passion for your work? Obviously, you know, I'm 26 and I've been working, you know, I've been bouncing around industry to industry for the past 8 years or so, and I've kind of found where we want to be with momentum and with my work now over the last 2 years or so. How do you continue to show up, and how do you continue to maintain passion for what you do?
Oh, mate, I'm one of the lucky ones. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a lot of friends. I'm 40 years old. I've got a lot of friends who go to work for the paycheck or go to work because they sort of have to. They don't necessarily love it. I bounce out of bed every day, mate, and can't wait to get my teeth into it. And, you know, there's something so exciting about, in this modern world of technology, that you can just help and reach so many people. You know, like our business mission and our sort of philosophical or you know, whatever it is, mission are the same: to help as many people as possible. The more people we help, this is the whole reason we do it, and the better the business is. You know, like so you're literally, you know, just trying different things. Like, I love the business side of things as much as I love the fitness side of things. I love working with people. You know, we've got 29 full-time staff now that work at 28. So we've got this brilliant team that, you know, I'm really learning a lot about myself as a leader, and, you know, trying to evolve myself from a leadership perspective and a business perspective, as much as I'm trying to sort of help my 28ers. And, you know, I feel young from a business perspective, you know, because I've done lots of different things, you know, gyms and PT studios and kids fitness programs and all that kind of stuff. But I'd never done anything in the tech space. It's really, it's always new and evolving and exciting. And, you know, I feel like we're sort of, you know, we had our 5th birthday in February, and it almost feels like we're just getting started. So it's, I mean, ask me that question in 10 years time, mate, when I'm 50, and maybe by then I will have started to slow down, but I don't think anything, I can't see myself slowing down in the near future. That's for sure, mate.
That's good, mate. That's good to hear. How has the challenge of taking on an industry, you mentioned you haven't been in the tech before or worked in the online space pre-28, were there any like super dark days for you? Were there any days where you were like, fuck, this is not going to work? Or maybe you had a massive, you know, you mentioned that you fall off the wagon, maybe you fell off the wagon for a while, and then also the business declined. Like, has there ever been that moment like, oh shit, this might not work out, and I don't know what to do, or anything like that?
Oh, mate, plenty. Yeah, I mean, anyone that owns their own business will tell you it's a roller coaster. You know, you kind of got to be aware of what you're signing up for. It's definitely not a 9 to 5 existence. You're right every bump, but I mean, you know, that's kind of my entrepreneurial spirit. I don't really like working for other people. It's not something I could ever sort of see myself doing. I don't like being office bound all the time either. I kind of like to get out and about and, you know, shake as many hands and meet as many people as possible. But mate, there's been plenty of ups and downs, you know, we went from me being based out of my gym and a little, creative studio off-site, and all these headaches of kind of getting the whole platform to work together. And, you know, we spent millions of dollars trying to perfect an app that was only meant to cost $300,000 and made a heap of mistakes along the way. You know, we used to outsource a lot of roles and use a lot of agencies, and that was, you know, really challenging because it was a bit disjointed and dysfunctional. You know, mate, it's, you know, we've made many, many mistakes. We've had many ups and downs. There've been many sleepless nights, particularly in the early days.
Yeah.
But it's kind of what it's all about. It makes the fact that you've then gotten to where you've gotten to that much more enjoyable. You know, I'm a huge believer that the good stuff sort of happens out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I mean, the most important learning for me was early on, don't worry about making money, reinvest every cent that's coming in back into the platform, back into your team, because if you do want this to get over that hump and actually be a long-term success, you're going to need to make those investments, and you're going to need to surround yourself with people much smarter than you. You know, you've got to, like, I was a bit of a control freak. I, you know, needed to kind of be part of everything or try and do everything myself. And I was breaking, you know, like it just wasn't working. And that, you know, that's why Snez and the kids have been so good for me, because it teaches you about balance. You know, before I was married and before I had kids, I'd bury myself in my work and I'd be in the office till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And it was a pretty sad, lonely existence, you know, when you look back at it. But it was kind of this, I don't know, obsession, compulsion, whatever you want to call it, that I had. Now, great team, surround yourself with good people, know what you're good at, know what you're definitely not good at. Spend the time doing what you're good at. Don't micromanage. All of these, you know, really valuable lessons that I've learnt the hard way and made plenty of mistakes. And, you know, take your little girl to school in the morning and be home for dinner, and, you know, spend as much quality time with your family as possible. And I definitely don't have the perfect balance, that's for sure. It's a work in progress, but it's definitely better than it used to be.
Yeah, mate. And back to what you said at the start around, progress, not perfection, and, you know, embodying that philosophy yourself. Just like, take it one day at a time and try your best every day.
Mate, heed your own advice, Sam. That's
exactly right. Mate, I'm sure you get asked this every day, especially I'm sure you get 1,000 DMs in your inbox. But I think we'll end on this question, and I'll let you go about your day. I know you got to get down to Mount Martha and do some stuff. So, what is the one tip or the handful of tips that you have for the aspiring PT who's been doing it for a while, loves his work, but wants to kind of branch out, or he or she, wants to branch out or do more, or run an online business like you did? Like, what is that tip that they can do to kind of, I guess, get out of the 70 to 80 hour work week where they're working with clients, you know, in every hour of their work week?
So I think the most important thing that you got to do to start with is build an audience. And I don't think you'll do that if you know, I remember a client of mine gave me a book by Gerber called The E-Myth when I was, I don't know, I would have been 23. He gave me this book as a gift, and I was like, oh, what's this book? And it's all about, if you're working in the business, not on the business, you'll never actually get out of it. You'll never get out of it. You know, you'll always be this prisoner to the hourly rate.
Yeah.
And when you're a PT and you're earning $100 an hour, or whatever it is, the hourly rate's addictive. Every hour you're not seeing a client is a missed opportunity. And, you know, if you're doing 30 hours, it's $3,000. You know, for me, it was always shit. I don't want to be getting up at 5 a.m. and going to the gym and getting home at 9 p.m. when I'm 40 and I've got kids, or 35. And you know, like, that was like my biggest fear, you know, and, you know, I knew I wanted to have a family and wanted to have kids, and that was the last thing I wanted to happen. So I was always sort of conscious of somehow finding a way that wouldn't have to be the case. But in today's world, you've got to grow an audience. So, you know, and be smart, try and grow an audience of a demographic that you would like to work with, or you think you would resonate best with from a business perspective. So the more you put yourself out there, free content, a social media maniac, you know, whether it be Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest or whatever, put yourself out there on as many different platforms as possible. Build yourself an audience. Give that audience as much free content as possible to see what they like, what they don't like. That will also help you grow that audience much faster because you're providing them with a great free resource. And then once you've got, and I don't mean you've got 100,000 followers or even 50,000 followers, but you know, if you've got 1,000 followers and you're working in a gym every day and most of the people that follow you are your friends, or you've only got 30 clients, that's not probably a very scalable option. Once you've got the audience, then you can go to some kind of online delivery. And you don't need tens of thousands of paying members or subscribers to, you know, you can have 4 to very quickly realize what I just did that I would have had to do for that one-on-one client got seen by 4 people or 14 people or 30 people. You very quickly work out that is what you want to be able to do. And you know, it's 2021. Technology is unbelievable these days. The online virtual experience that you can give someone is incredible. The very cost-effective existing platforms that exist out there for trainers that, you know, they're just templated. You know, you come on board, you create a brand name, workout content, eating plan, motivational, educational content, and the template's right there for you. And you might pay a monthly, relatively small subscription fee that, to be honest, you'd probably only need 5 clients to cover that fee. So all of a sudden, you got 5 clients, your business is breaking even. You got 50 clients, you're making more money an hour than you ever have before. You've got 500 clients. Well, you'll very quickly stop doing your one-to-one training, or you'll wind that right back down to your favorite clients, or you'll increase your one-on-one rate by 50% because you're now starting to understand the value of your time. You know, all of these kind of things, all of these things very, very quickly happen. But it's got to start with an audience. You know, there's no point developing this great program and trying to spend all this money on marketing if you don't have a bit of an audience first to get that that catalyst, that nucleus for your business to grow from. And then it's all about digital marketing. You know, the world of digital, you know, do a digital marketing course, understand how it works. It's something that I've done. I do not run the digital marketing in my business, but I felt it was imperative that I understood it better. Because it is such a huge part of our business. You know, we spend $6 or $7 million a year on digital marketing. It's important that I understand how that works. And it's fascinating. You know, and it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's only going to skyrocket up as these new channels keep opening up. And you got to understand sort of principally how digital marketing works. And it really does allow you to push your product to the right type of person, understand your price point, understand your market, understand what your product needs to be to sort of fit in between the two. And you know, I've helped 3 young trainers that I've worked with over the last 20 years have come to me and asked me to help them set up online platforms over the last couple of years, seeing what I've done with 28. And I've loved sort of mentoring those guys, you know, like, you know, and they're all having varying degrees of success, from a couple of 100 members to, I think one guy just cracked his sort of 1,000 member mark. And it's just so, they're just they're being them. You know, you got to be yourself. Like I think the best social media people, you know, your James Smiths and your who are some other guys that I really admire, and like they're themselves, and it's this liberating. They're unapologetically them, and I think when you see these Joe Wicks and these guys, you see these guys putting themselves out there. They're clearly being authentic. It's clearly who they are.
Yeah.
And people gravitate towards that. Don't try and copy your favorite influencer, I think is my point. That's them.
Yeah.
The reason they have 1 million followers and all this success is because they're being themselves. No one has made it to the top of the tree by being fake. I'd be very surprised if that's not a true reflection of who these people are. And I think you've got to adopt the same attitude.
Absolutely, mate. I love that. Audience and authenticity, the 2 A's by Sam Wood. I love it, mate.
Love it. Good one, mate.
Matt, thank you so much for your time. I'll chuck a link to all your socials, to your website, the next 28-day challenge. Mate, thank you so much for your time. Always a great chat with you.
My absolute pleasure, mate. And hope you're enjoying life over there, and hope to see you soon.
Absolutely, mate. Cheers.